Hello, this is Dorianne. Mamo, welcome to our podcast during Mediterrane Film Festival. I'm really honored to have Uberto Pasolini next to me. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, the festival, for inviting our film and myself.
Not the first time in Malta.
Not the first time in Malta. I was here, I think, 25 years ago, filming
Okay,
a small film about Napoleon.
I see.
We were 2 days in the harbor and on a boat outside of Malta.
How was your experience back then?
It was great. It was fun, except that the director was seasick, so he wasn't very happy to shoot on a boat, but he had to do it, so he did it.
That must have been a challenge, but you're used
For him.
to
For him.
Yeah, but you're used to facing challenges in this industry.
Well, I don't know. Everybody is. I think the film business is full of challenges, but I think, like most businesses, we think we're special, but we're not.
I think you're very special.
Well, I don't know. The business is. We think the film business people think, we have difficulties more than other businesses. We have problems which are original and strange, but I think most businesses would say the same thing. Anyway.
Is it because you come from another industry? You started, if I'm not mistaken, from economics.
I did, when I was very young, I did some economics, yes, and some banking, yes.
Okay. And you were here 25 years ago. Now you're back. Any differences? Any changes you've noticed? Perhaps?
I really can't say. I've been here only less than 24 hours. I recognize the stones, I recognize the palaces, I recognize the light. There's more tourism than there was when we were here, but it was out of season, I think. It seems to be very welcoming. I bought myself a new pair of shoes because the other ones had holes in them. I got rid of those. So up to now, all good.
And you love yourself some color as well, probably.
Yeah, color is good.
A success story in the film industry. Perhaps your favorite project so far? Or you can't really choose?
You can't choose. I don't know about success. I got lucky once, many, many years ago, again, 28 years ago. As a producer, I was very fortunate. And since then, I made a few films as a producer and then as a director, some of them luckier than others. And the one that is here is certainly the one that I've been working on for longest. In fact, when I started working by myself, it's the first thing I tried to develop. It's 30 years ago. And it's about Odysseus returning to Ithaca.
Yes.
And so I took longer in making the film than it took Odysseus to go to Troy, win the war there, come back, kill a lot of people, and get back into bed with Penelope. So he was more efficient than I was. He would have made a better producer or director than I am.
Okay. You say you don't take credit for your achievements. You say you got lucky.
Yes, I think the most important thing that filmmakers need in terms of connecting with an audience is luck. You can make a great film which goes completely unacknowledged and unseen, and then you can make a weak film and of course these are subjective judgments, but you can make a weaker film and that for some reason reaches an audience that you don't expect. So I think luck is very, very important. If you are also lucky, you have some talents and you happen to work with talented people and maybe the project you've been developing or you're involved in is of a higher quality. But fundamentally, it's, I think, down to luck.
But is it possible that perhaps you're also very persistent, you have other qualities as well? You know,
I think as a producer, or not only as a producer, but as a director too, I guess, and as a writer, you need to be stubborn. I think if I have one characteristic, it's stubbornness. You don't give up. If you have a dream, you pursue it. But I think again, it's common to many industries. You know, whether you make shoes or you make films or even you are a banker. If you're stubborn, if you have a goal, if you have a passion, and you keep at it, at some point, and you are lucky, you get to it.
some social issues, perhaps, which are close to heart, which you try to integrate in some movies, perhaps, or it doesn't work that way for you? How do you get inspired?
Well, often actually I've been inspired by lives of people who are very, very different from my very privileged one. So the lucky film I made 25 years ago was a film about unemployment and the difficulty of being a man who has lost his role in society and in the family as a breadwinner. And it was called The Full Monty, which was a film about desperation and unemployment, but it had a sort of comedy engine to it, and that maybe that's one of the lucky things that happened to it. And more recently, when I started directing, I was inspired by a series of different newspaper articles. The first one dealt with emigration from Sri Lanka. So I made a little film. I wrote and directed a little film in Sri Lanka, co-wrote and directed a little film in Sri Lanka about that problem, about people in the majority world dreaming of a better life in the Western world. And after that, I made a film about loneliness. So again, something that is not close to me. I have a big family, I have children, I have friends. But loneliness, not only, I think, unfortunately, in the Western world, but now more and more everywhere. And not only of old people, is a very grave subject. And so I made a film about that. And after that, I made a film about adoption. So again, a problem that wasn't close to me, but a story that I read again in a newspaper. So yes, social issues, and in particular focus on lives that are less privileged than mine, has been a curiosity. And this last film, instead, the fourth film I direct, is instead going back to not a newspaper article, but the beginning of Western civilization, Homer, a passion of mine since I was very small, and my parents read me Greek myths. And but again, there it's a film about war. It's about the tragedy of war, what war does to people, what war does to people who go to fight the war, but also to people who stay and wait behind for the return of people who might never return. So there is a social aspect or political aspect to this film too, even if it's not from a newspaper article of today. But unfortunately, because of the nature of the human race, we seem to be able to keep fighting wars or unable not to fight wars. So in a strange way, that also could be from a newspaper article of today.
I see. Now, film festivals such as this one, your views, do they work? Do they help people
I
connect?
think film festivals are fundamental in allowing people who come from less fortunate, less rich cinematography traditions or structures to be seen, and for young talents in particular to be discovered, and for spreading films that would not normally be seen outside of their countries or their regions by people all over the world. So they have a very, very, very important role to play in expanding audiences and affording audiences to discover cinema that they don't know about. And also in helping young filmmakers in particular to develop, to have dialogue with other cinematographies, other filmmakers, and hopefully to progress in their career. So absolutely, I'm a great, great fan of film festivals of all sizes, small, big, in fact, small in particular. That's where you find yourself more easily talking to other filmmakers about cinema, about your passion, about your love.
You've done this already. Would you produce, direct another movie in Malta, given the opportunity?
If I had the right subject, I would love to come back. It's a very special place. The crews are great. The light is wonderful. You need the right project. Of course, you have studios. You can do interior work. You can do all sorts of things. But I like to go where the film needs to be shot. Every film tends to have something that pulls you in one direction or in one location or another. And I like to try to follow that path.
And how would you know? Is it a call? How would you know where to go?
I think the film tells you in a strange way. I mean, you end up location scouting and going one place and the other, and you look at the financing and you look at where the tax credits are or the support, local support from the local authorities is. But at the end of the day, you find a place, you find yourself in a place, and that place tells you this is where you should make the movie. And so I hope that might happen here.
We're hoping that as well. Looking back, would you change anything career-wise? Would you?
Yes, I would not pretend to be a creative producer. I think it's a misnomer. I think it's a mistake. I think the really great producers of the history of cinema enabled other people's dreams. I fixated myself on trying to convince people to make the films I wanted to make. And I think that reduced my intellectual, emotional, psychological development a great deal. I think as a producer, I think it is better if you're capable of finding in yourself the generosity and the imagination to fall for other people's dreams, to enable other people to make their dreams rather than just pursuing your limited ones, especially limited given my limited brains. And the other thing is, I think I would have liked to be involved more in documentaries. I think somehow fiction is can be very introspective, and I think documentaries, of course, depending on the subject, but have the ability to force you to look and to be more curious about the world outside of yourself. And so, if I were to do it all over again, I would not pretend to pursue my own ideas, but try and find people to help make their ideas and then do more documentaries.
One final question, any ongoing projects at the moment? Or
I'd love to make a small film in Italy, in Italian. It would be my first film, Home. And it would also be the story of a return home. But I'm not quite sure that I'll ever find money, so it's a question mark.
As well.
Yeah. Otherwise, I still would like to go back and producing, and I would like to make a Western. I've been trying to make a Western for a very long time. I think every producer in life should make one Western because of the relationship, the historical relationship between the Western as a genre and the development of cinema from the early days. So I'm still hoping to make that.
You're persistent enough, so I'm sure it will happen. It will happen.
I don't know about that, but hopefully you're right. From your mouth to the gods of cinema.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.